Já está. Vê aí importante se chega. Peço só mais um bocadinho para ver se a emissão começa mesmo. Porque só se pode estar aqui. Eu estou à espera de ter as 10 horas certas. Deve ser. O meu programa é isto para as 10 horas. Ele se chama, mas já está. Já está a emissão. O áudio está a chegar? Não. Estás a ouvir? Estamos lá.
Okay, so good morning, everyone. Welcome to our mini summer school organized by the CISE Research Center. And the first seminar that is taking place today, it's about scientific research and its publications. Here you have some information about myself. So I have a PhD in Management Information Systems from Minho University in Portugal. I'm a lecturer here at this school since 1990. I'm the Vice Dean of ISCAP, and ISCAP is one of the schools of the Polytechnic Institute of Porto. I'm the President of the Space Network, that is a network that comprises universities of applied sciences in the areas of business all over Europe. I'm the co-editor of two special issues about MOOCs, the learning and distance learning. I'm also the editor-in-chief of one journal. I belong to several scientific committees of several conferences. I've already edited some books and papers, and also a book about how to do a master and a PhD. And finally, I'm the coordinator of some European projects, and I've already participated also as a researcher. So welcome you all to this first seminar in our mini summer school. This is the structure of the workshop, and you can see here briefly some of the topics that I'm going to talk about. So I'm going to talk about scientific research, the process and its publications. I'm going to talk about the process in itself and the research process. We say a lot, the research process, and I'm going to talk a little bit about that. Also how to write and submit a paper to a journal, and other processes in research, briefly, because on Friday we will have another seminar that will deal in detail about qualitative research methodology. So I'm going to talk briefly about literature review, research design, qualitative research and conclusion, and finally the review process. The objectives of this session are these: so to identify the proper journal in which to be published, and to understand the conditions to be published and the point of view of the reviewers. Because sometimes we do not have success in publishing because we do not understand what's happening in the other side. Let's start with the process. So here you have some examples of process, and we are always talking about this. So we say the research process, conference and paper writing process, journal paper writing process, resubmission process, and so on and so on. What's the process? So the process, and this applies to all scientific fields, you have inputs, you have some actions that will transform those inputs, and you have results. So we need to know what's happening in all these steps. When you talk about the research process, you have this. You start with the research idea, you go with the literature review to see what has already been done about that topic. You have the theoretical formulation of your research problem. Then you design some empirical research questions, so you operationalize and you go to the field in order to see what's happening, what are the answers to your question. So you research, you have the research design, data collection, data analysis, and so on. And after that, you want the result of all this process to be published and disseminated, so others can see what you have already done and what is your contribution to the science. So now we are talking about the writing and submission, writing and submitting a journal paper. So at the end of this research process, you have to disseminate what you have done. You have to show to your peers what is the result of your research. And this is done by writing and submitting a paper in specific way. So you have the results of your research, you want to disseminate it, but before being able to do that, you need to ask yourself some questions. And you have here some examples. Do I have a contribution to make? Who is going to be interested in my topic, in the results of my topic? How does it build on what you already know? We are referring to the literature review. How significant is my message? How sure I am about my findings? All those steps in that research process were correct. The research design, the data collection, data analysis, interpretation of results, all these steps were done in a correct way. Anyway, if you are able to answer those questions, but apart those questions, you know that it is very important for your career to publish and to disseminate the work you are doing. And publication is so part of our academic role. So anyway, we have to publish something. Some tips before submitting. You have two possible solutions. You can choose the high-risk submissions, and this means you pick up a big report, a monograph, a doctorate thesis, you just transform it or shorten it or shrink it to fit the number of pages of that journal, and there it goes. Or you can have a conference paper that is not focused on the topic submission of the journal, and okay, I don't care, I just submit it. And you can see also that this paper conference may not be formatted for the journal, and it might be published elsewhere in the conference proceedings. So this paper is not already original, and journals want original work. Or you can take the solution of low-risk submission. And here, papers are written for the journal specifically. I mean, it fits with the genre, the scope of the journal, engages with debates, refers to previous work published in that journal, and so on. And this increases the possibility of your paper being published. And then you need to find the proper journal. Journals are not all the same, and there are thousands of possible journals outside in the market, and you have to target the right journal for the work you have done. So you have to see what is the mission, the policy, and the objective of the journal. Also to see if your paper fits the journal's aim and scope. What type of submission is it? Empirical research, review paper, brief report, and so on. Because there are journals that only publish a certain type of paper. There are journals that do not accept qualitative work. They only want quantitative work. They do not accept theoretical frameworks. They want a paper with a theoretical part, but also with a practical one. So you have to see, in order to see if your paper fits the journal. Also, to know if the journal have a good reputation in the field, who are the editor and the editorial board. You can see their names, you can look for the web page of that journal and check the profile of all these persons. What is the acceptance or rejection rate? What is the turnaround time? I mean, since the moment you submit the paper till the moment you got the final answer, how many months? 3 months, for 1 year? And does the journal have an international audience? Or the audience is just in that country. For instance, a Portuguese journal, the audience is just Portuguese, or we are reaching Brazil as well. So we need to see all of this. Or you can see also, you can try to choose a special issue. A special issue is an issue that deals with a specific topic, and then it can have a specific editor-in-chief for the journal. I have here just one example, and after that I can provide you these slides so you can try the links that there are in the slides. So this is one, this is updated. The submission date will come in December, and this is the result. This special issue will be the result of a Portuguese conference, and after the conference we will ask some authors, best papers, to improve their papers, to add more literature review, or to be more detailed in their empirical research, and they can submit their work in this special issue. Other questions. Is the journal peer-reviewed? I mean, I suppose all of you know what peer-reviewed means, but for those that are not so familiar, this means that when you submit a paper to a journal, there are at least 2 persons that will do a blind review of your paper, and this is very important. So the paper will not be accepted right away or rejected like this, but there will be at least 2 persons that will give you some feedback, some comments, and even if your paper is not accepted, you will have feedback, comments that will help you to improve and to resubmit it or submit it elsewhere. Who are in editorial board? Is the journal ICI ranked database or in other metrics, for instance, Scopus, Web of Knowledge, and so on? This is also very important. And for those that are not completely familiar, and I'm not sure, I will show you this afterwards. Anyway, I would like to say that now. Even when you look at the journal that is ranked, for instance, in Scopus, you can see in which quarter the journal is placed. And so you have 4 quarters, 25% each, so the sum is 1. And the journals, the best ones, are placed at the 1st quarter, and it is really difficult to have a paper published there. So if you are not so familiar with this process, you can start in the 4th quarter and then trying, while learning, to increase possibility to publish in another quarter. Is the journal available online? Is the journal published by an international association, university, or publishing company? So it's good for you to know the history and the quality of the journal. So I'm going to show you this one. This one is the one in which I am the editor-in-chief. And here in the web page of the journal, you will find some of the answers for the questions that I've presented. So you have here the call for papers. Anyway, I can try to show you directly in the internet because we will have more information. Okay, so you have the editors. Who are the editors? You have the information about the journal. You have the description. So if you want to be a reviewer, you have here the call for papers for the special issues. And you have the journal contents, the mission, some reviews and testimonials, where the index where the journal appears, the topics covered, the biography of the editors, editorial board, and the possibility to submit a paper to this journal. Okay, this is another journal. I am the associated editor for this one. So here you also have the the examples of indexes where this journal appears. And this is the indexes for the International Journal of Technology and Human Interaction. Okay, if you want to know, if you want to have more information about the journal, you can have access to the Web of Knowledge Index. And here, as you can see, you have the list of the journals. You can search. So you have a journal, you have an idea of a journal, and you want to see the quality of that journal. So check this web page and see if the journal appears, is mentioned in this list, is listed there. Okay. You can also do the same here in Elsevier, so the books and journals. You can have access to that. And now it's time to see, so you have an idea how to check the quality of the journal, and it's time to know now to start doing your homework. So you have the journal, start reading the aims and scope, look at the past issues of the journal, so you have an idea of kind of papers, topics, research design they are publishing. And also you can see the authors are coming from which part of the world. Look at the best papers and see how they have been constructed and try to do the same. So it's easy. It's easiest way. Sometimes as editor, I read papers, 2 or 3, and all of them have exactly the same structure, just the topic changes. So they have discovered the formula to be published, and they are now disseminating that formula. And so all those papers, they are all good, just the topic changes, the structure is the same. And if you have doubts about the quality of your paper, or about if the topic fits into the aims and scope of journal, try to contact the editor and ask him, send him the abstract and ask him, this topic interests you? Are you willing to publish it? And they will tell you, okay, no, this is not our field, or yes, you can submit the paper, do this and that. So it's better, if you have doubts, it's better to contact immediately the editor. And this is what happens with me. Sometimes as editor, I receive papers that do not fit within the scope or mission of the journal. I have to reject them before sending them to review. And this is very annoying, and it is time consuming for all the persons in the process. Time consuming for me because I have to spend time reading the paper, and time consuming for the author that has spent time submitting it and waiting for the answer. So look for the adequate journal. Of course, you can find journals everywhere, but since I'm working with this publisher, I'm telling you that this publisher, IGI, have lots of journals covering different topics. Most of them are in the areas of information systems, related also with education, knowledge management, and so on, because these are my fields. But anyway, if you are interested in this, you can take a look this site and have an idea of the possible journals. What should you do to prepare your manuscript? So, you have an idea, you have to prepare the article. The first thing is to see the submission guidelines provided by the journal. All journals have submission guidelines. They tell you how do they want the paper to be structured. If it is a case study, how the case study should be structured. If it is a business case, how it should be structured. How references should be cited. The lettering, the size of lettering, and so on. The headings, it should be center, bold, or whatever. Everything is in the guidelines. So take a look at that. Also, make every effort to improve the quality of manuscript before submission. And I'm going to tell you something later that is related with titles and language. If English is not your mother language, first language, and you are not sure about the quality of your English, just have your English improved or your paper read by someone that has a better English than yours. Or as I will show you, there are some suppliers that do this for you in the internet. Of course, it is a paid service, but it exists. So, look at the mission before submitting and be as objective as possible about your work. More details. So, details about the paper. The title. It should be concise, accurate, informative, because titles are often used by Google search engines, and so you want your paper to be discovered quickly. The title should also be specific, and it should contain the words that readers might be searching on. So try to do a little bit of marketing of your paper. And it should also be strong and attractive. And I will show some examples later. The title will make it more likely people will find and want to read your article. Must also reflect the content of your article. If not, readers will be confused and disappointed. I mean, it may be a very nice title, very attractive, with a lot of marketing, but when we read the paper, the content and the title do not match. And the title should not bear any abbreviations. So you have here two examples. The first one, improving decision-making in extreme situations, the case of a military decision support system. The title says it all. It even says the methodology, it says all the variables dependent and independent, so the reader knows exactly what you will find in that paper. You have also another one, and these are real titles. I took them from real articles, okay? Factors influencing citizen adoption of e-government in developing countries, the case of children. So you know exactly what you'll find there. It's everything in the title. And after the title, you have the abstract. And abstracts are also very important, although lots of people do not know exactly how to write an abstract. What they should put there, just a contextualization and an introduction to the topic. No, it is a summary of the whole paper. So in 10 lines, you have to condense everything that you have said in your paper. So your abstract is what readers and reviewers and the editors will use when they are deciding whether or not the paper should be sent to review. You should spend some time making sure that it is readable and that it contains a complete description of your research. And I will show you some examples later. So it must be accurate, because it is a reflection of what it is in your article. Must also be self-contained, without abbreviations. Check the guidelines to see if this corresponds to what they are looking for. Sometimes in the guidelines, editors say exactly the maximum number of lines the abstracts must have. For instance, 10 lines or 150 words or 500 words. So this will tell you what kind of abstract the journal is looking for. So the word count, the subject matters, methods of submission. Okay, the selling points, check the abstracts, check if the abstract reads well, and if it is a structured abstract. At the end, the abstract follows the same structure of your paper, but of course in a very reduced way. You have here an example of an abstract, and this abstract tells everything about the paper, the research, the results, the variables. You can identify everything. Of course, it is still a long one, but you have a good summary. So the main purpose, so they are saying what are the objectives of this work, and then they say adoption of e-government services, the factors. This study aims to develop a conceptual framework, okay, as a theoretical part, based on previous literature, examine the relationship between certain factors, and then they say the factors. The empirical part, a self-administered questionnaire, 355 citizens. The findings, so they are already pointing, explaining what are the results. The results show, so what were the findings, the final results. And then the contributions. What is the contribution of this paper? And this study provides valuable insights and so on and so on. So you see, in just, I don't know how many words, you have a summary, a good summary of what you have done. And this is a good example of an abstract. Then the writing. Okay. The language, as I said, should be clear and to an acceptable standard. I don't mind as an editor, reading articles with some typos, but I do not like at all reading an article that is full of language problems, syntax, grammar, and so on. Okay, the first paragraph it is okay, but if I see I have 20 pages of that, what I want to do is to reject the paper immediately. I do not go through it. And I say to the author, please have someone to correct your English before and submit it again, because I will not read it. So he's wasting my time and also his time. Okay? Ask a colleague to read through your final draft, in particular if you are not an English native speaker, because reviewers are not expected to correct your English. They may say in their comments, the paper is full of language mistakes, have them corrected, but they will not tell you what are those mistakes. So if English is not your first language, Emerald, so the publisher provides that service for any articles that might need copy editing. So you can have access to this and you will have more information about that. Of course, those services are paid, but if you feel that your work is really good and it is worth paying for that service. So here you have, and so you can have more information there about how to find out more about this service. You can ask them. I don't know if you should pay by word or by page, I don't know. But anyway, you have this solution available online. And this as well. This is another one. So the Society for Editors and Proofreaders, they are also, you have here the prices, proofreading, copy editing, and so on, and the it's by hour, okay? Hourly rate, they want to be paid like that. So if you spend 50 euros or 40 euros to have really a good paper, I think it is a good investment. Because reading a paper, just correct mistakes, will not take more than 1 hour for someone with a lot of expertise. Pay attention that they will correct your English, not the content of your paper. So if the content is not good, they will not solve that problem. Okay? So prepare an error-free manuscript ready for submission to journals. Convey your research ideas and results clearly and in an effective way. Increase the chances of acceptance of your paper. Journal styles. So sometimes journals have also a style associated with it. As I told you, there are journals that only accept quantitative work, others that accept everything. Qualitative work may not be accepted everywhere, so you need to check what they are looking for. To show you this page, because it is a real case. So this is a real guideline for submission. You have here all the information. So here you can see the types of submissions they are looking for and they are accepting. They want original papers. You have the problem of the copyright. And they will tell you revised manuscripts, acquiring permission for copyrighted images. Yes, because sometimes we use images that are not ours. And if they see images in the paper, they need the copyright of those images. So it is up to us authors to ask permission to the original author to use those images. Otherwise, we just have to remove them. The style, so they will say what is the style of the paper they want. The references, they give some examples. In-text citations, editorial issues, the formatting, the requirements, the length of the paper. They say the number of words, the minimum, and okay, this is just as reference. It is not compulsory, although the minimum words is a criterion to rejection or letting the paper to move in the review process. So if it is less than 5,000 words, the editor will kindly inform the author that the paper should be okay, it's not just to increase the number of words, but this means that there are some parts of the article that needs to be deepened and more and have more discussion. Okay. After the abstract, we have the keywords, and they're also very important. So it's essential that your paper is found online, and for that you need to use the right keywords. So they need to be clear, they need to be connected with the content of your paper. And of course, if they are used, if they are good, this will increase the possibility of your paper to be found. Even if people cannot download the paper, but the others can find your work. After submitting the paper, it is okay that you keep in touch with the journal. Okay. Most journals allow to log into the system and to keep and to see the evolution of the review of this paper. If you see that the paper is stuck somewhere in this process, it is also okay that you contact the editor-in-chief and ask him what's happening. I just see that there's one review for my paper, the paper is there for 2 months, what's happening? And of course, the editor will contact the reviewer and say, please review it in a quick way. We need it to be finished in 2 weeks, and so on. So it is no problem to contact editor. If you are in a time crunch because you are looking to make a job change or are being considered for promotion, it is okay that you also mention that. An editor will do his or her best to speed up all this process. Other process in research, also related with paper, but I need to go into detail about the process. So, as you have seen in the first slide, or in one of the first slides in that picture about the research process. This is what we have to do. So we have the research problem, the literature review, the objective, the research design, and so on. So now I'm going to talk about 2 or 3 topics, or 2 or 3 steps of this process that are also important for your paper. Literature review, because when I read an article, I try to see if literature review is accurate, is detailed enough, is updated, the references are updated, and so on. So the literature review shows what is already available in your area. This means that you know the area in which you are working, and you can place your research in that area and saying, I'm doing this because this area, I found a gap. So I'm trying to fill in this gap. And you can only do that if you have done literature review. So you cannot say, no one has done this yet, if you have not searched and found no evidence that this was done. So it is an integral part of the entire research process, and it makes valuable contributions to every operational step. Of course, it can be time-consuming, daunting, and frustrating, but it is also rewarding. It is good to see after a while that authors started repeating themselves. You already know the author. Okay, this author referred the other one. Every authors are referring to that one. This means that one is the most important one. So when you start feeling this, you start feeling more comfortable, and it is already rewarding. The function of literature review are bringing clarity and focus to your research problem, improve your methodology, because you can also see how the others have tried to answer similar questions, not your question, but similar ones. So all of them have used quantitative approach. I want to do a qualitative one. So I'm trying to be different, but I need to justify it. Or all of them used quantitative. Of course, if all of them tried quantitative, I'll go to the easiest way, I'll go quantitative as well. And I can justify it easily. All of them have done that. So I just follow the leader. It may help you also to improve your methodology, broaden your knowledge, and contextualize your findings. It will also help you to show what has already been said about the topic, so framing questions for a review, identifying relevant work, assessing the quality of studies, summarizing the evidence, and interpreting the findings. So these are the steps. And in the slides, I leave you with some links, and in those links, for those that are not familiar with literature review, we will find some tutorials and more information about how to do a good literature review. It is not the point of this seminar, but anyway, you can deepen your knowledge by exploring those links. So, to sum up, the importance of literature review is that a common mistake is wanting to publish papers in areas without ever referring previous papers in the same area. So each time you try to publish in a certain journal that deals with a certain area or field of knowledge, try to refer to work that has been done in your area, but also that has been published in that journal. So this means that you are acquainted. You will try to see what has already been done, and you know, and the editor knows that you have tried at least to see what has already been published also in that journal. Then after the literature review, I need to check the research methodology. So if the paper covers empirical research, it is necessary to tell the reader something about the method, at least give enough information for the reader to have a sense of whether he can trust you. Sometimes when I read papers and I evaluate them, I see that, okay, literature review might be okay. They just mention, I've done this empirical work, I've done it. I've administered a questionnaire and the results were, I've administered a questionnaire and there's a gap whole in this part of the article. I just know there was a questionnaire. How was the questionnaire developed? How the questions were created for that questionnaire? Was it based on literature review? I'm not sure. Was it validated? So too many questions. If I have doubts about that, okay, methodology is not okay, and I reject the paper. Okay. So it is needed to prove the theoretical framework and literature review influence any empirical study that is being reported. Because it might be that sometimes you have a literature review, you have a framework, and suddenly the empirical research seems that has nothing to do with what you have explained before. So there's a gap there. So you need to justify the research method, justify the sample size, why only 10? Okay, it is okay if it is an interview, but it is not okay if it is questionnaire, and not an aptitude questionnaire, because you know you need at least 4 respondents for each sentence. So if you have only 10, no, this is not good. So you need to justify everything, clarify how stratifying and random sampling methods was implemented, if the case, how the survey instrument was developed, validated, administered, how the interview script was created, and what are your hypotheses, and how did you reach those hypotheses. I'm not going to talk about quantitative work, because literature, you can find lots of papers about that. Just mention some issues about qualitative research. And again, I say that on Friday you will have a seminar fully dedicated to qualitative research methodology. So in qualitative research, you use words rather than numbers to describe findings. You emphasize seeing the world from the perspective of the participants, what they are feeling, what they are seeing, what they are doing. The goal is understanding, not predicting. So do not say, okay, I have 10 interviews, I cannot generalize. Of course you cannot generalize. The purpose is not to generalize, but you can understand what's happening with those 10 persons. Okay? Emphasize subjective dimension of human experience. It's holistic rather than reductionist. So if you interview people in one organization, this will give you a broader perspective, an holistic perspective of that company, not just to say what is the relationship between variable A and variable B. So it is associated with interpretative approach, which is discovery-oriented, explanatory, descriptive, and inductive in nature. And finally, the conclusions. Here you have to say what are the contributions and or the implications for research, implications for practice. So the question that I ask when I read a paper and I come to the end is, so what? What's the purpose of this? So always my question, so what? And if I come to the end of paper and I say, so what? And got no answer, this paper is not good enough. So you see, and I wasted all my time reading and analyzing and commenting and sending feedback to the author. But at the end, no, so what? So ask yourself when you are writing at the end, so what? If you are able to answer, that's okay. If not, try again. Start the process again. And also think about the research limitations. It's okay to say that your research has limitations. Of course, all researches have limitations, and it's better that you identify them and not the editor. You are saving time to the editor. And also future research directions. So after that, I've already identified other factors, other fields, other topics that also need to be researched. Again, limitations. This is also a real case, a real situation. So here you say, the authors immediately say, our study has some limitations. And they explain what are the limitations. it's better for me than commenting, because if I say limitations, it's not, I will say that in a different tone. So it's better the other to say that for me. And they identify that first, as in most empirical studies, that. Second, our study was. Third, our study did not. Last but not least, results. So it identifies all limitations. Okay, again, so future research direction. Here you also have an example. The results suggest that this study is therefore pioneering, so suggest following future research directions. First, second, third, and so on. So we can identify and point new directions for research. What do I do when I receive a paper? So you can see the whole process now. After the tips for you to improve your work, I'm going to show you what do I do. So you submit a paper to that link that I showed you at first in that international journal. So submit the paper. You submit, and I received an email saying that the paper has been submitted in the platform. I'll go there. I download the paper and read it, scan it quickly, just to see, to feel if the paper has enough quality. So I read the title, I read the abstract, and then I try to read quickly through the article, not in detail to give comments, but just to see all the elements that I'm looking for are there. So the aim of the initial screening is to prevent editors wasting their time on submissions later. Because after and I made a decision, reject or go forward to review. If a paper has not good quality and I send them for review, and I ask 3 persons to read the paper, and the 3 of them say this has no quality, I'm wasting the time of everyone. And the reviewers are not pleased to read papers that do not have quality. So this is my job. So I see and I reject or I accept. Okay? Criteria that I use. So fit with the mission of the journal, the significance of research, the likelihood of moving forward, acceptance in 2 rounds of review. Of course, I may feel that the paper, okay, this has some problems, but I feel that with some comments and suggestions, the author will be able to improve it, and the chances of being accepted will be increased. Okay? So this means that I may accept the paper to go in the process that has not 100% of quality. And these papers are rare, so usually they have problems, but I feel, okay, I can ask reviewers to read it. So the work is received electronically and skimmed for reasonable fit, quality, and impact. The work is sent to at least 2 reviewers. Now I'm sending it to more than 2 to 3 or 4, because at the backstage of the review process, we also have some problems. Reviewers are not all accurate. They do not care about reviewing the paper, but they do not inform the editor that they are not going to do that. And they could have informed by using the decline invitation to review the paper in the platform, and this is one of the biggest problems that I have. So I send the paper to at least 4 to increase the chance of having at least 2. So the work is judged, and the reviewer says if it is accepted, or if it is accepted with major revisions, minor revisions, or rejected. So it is the 4 options. And then after the reviews, so I have 2 reviews or 3 reviews, I send the paper together with the reviews to the associate editor. And this associate editor is a senior researcher with already some experience that will make a decision for that paper. So he has 3 reviews, he reads the paper, he prepares his report. If he has doubts, You will see what are the comments of reviewers, and then you will send me an information. Reject, revise, accept. These are the three possible solutions. Of course, there is always a template that is used for review. You have here one template. The criteria is this is just an example. Maybe the journal where you are going to submit your work does not use exactly the same, but the questions will touch these issues. So the popularity of the subject, adequate for the journal, adequate literature review, quality of research design, adequacy of data analysis, contributions to the literature, legitimacy of conclusions, practical significance, clarity of presentation. Then you have the overall evaluation, outstanding, definitely publishable, probably publishable, marginally publishable, not publishable at all. And then you see the editorial decision, accept with the revisions, reject. And then you have the comments. Comments to the author, comments to editor. And there in the comments, reviewers can explain why they have rated in all these criteria. So adequacy of literature review, the 3, because it is 1 out of 10, between 1 and 10, so it's 3 out of 10, and they explains. Literature review is not updated, does not cover all the topic that is being discussed, and so on. The research design, okay, lack of information. They say just a questionnaire. They do not explain how the questionnaire was developed, if it was validated, and so on and so on. So he explains, and he can say page 3, line 1, where it says not explained, and so on. So these comments to the author can and should be detailed, because it is this will help the author to improve his work. And after that, we have the comments to the editor. So reviewers can also inform the editor about something that they do not want to tell the author, but they want to tell us. For instance, I've already came across with this problem, plagiarism. They will not tell this directly to the author, but they will inform me, and it's up to me. Then I will have to check if this is true or not. So so the reviewer can share some concerns that he has. Or he has already found a similar paper published elsewhere, so the work is not original. So these kind of issues. So, okay, the paper is not yet okay, so it needs to be revised and resubmitted. So the authors will need to respond point to point to each suggestion or comment. Usually what I say is to use a table in one column, place all the comments made by reviewers, and in the other column explain how you have solved these problems in your paper. So this table is additional to the updated version of the paper. So the paper is updated, and in this table the author explains what he has done. Sometimes it just says in the paragraph, instead of, now it reads, and I try to detail all the explanations and so on and so on. Update the manuscript, pay attention to the deadline. There's always a deadline with it. The attitude, that's also very important. Reviewers spend or waste time or do this work for free as volunteers. So we need to thank them for any suggestion or any comment, because they are using their free time to help authors comment the work. So authors should see this kind of work as something not as irritating or that he doesn't know anything about my topic, this kind of attitude. But okay, he tried to see, he was not able, or I was not completely able to explain myself or the meaning of what I want to convey. So it was, I need to explain this. So the attitude is different. If I see an author that is too arrogant, always saying reviewers, they know nothing about the topic, they are stupid, they didn't make an effort. I don't like this kind of attitude from authors. And the paper is submitted online. Typical problems, overall problems of the papers. So too many focus, too many things that you want to discuss in the paper, a poor literature review, database and sampling subjects. If you are using quantitative approach, okay, this might be a problem. Unresearchable or poor research questions, not defined research problems. So after I reach the end of the paper and I'm not able to know what is actually the research problem, or at the beginning it is one research problem, and at the end it seems that the research problem has changed. This is not clear. The project management, the weak conclusions or outdated references. So good research does not publish itself. So we need, it's not because our research is very good that it will be published immediately. So we need to make effort so the research can be published. Logic alone is not enough to win the approval of reviewers, editors, and program chairs. Becoming an expert on logical side of research is critical too. Tips for increasing your impact. So be actively involved in academic conferences, choose an attractive title for your paper, get known in your community, improve your web presence, make sure that relevant terms are included in your abstract, and this is also a tip. Try to publish with someone that has a high H index. So this will improve the quality, or at least the visibility of your paper. In order to learn how to write an article, the other one is very important. Offer yourself to review papers for conferences and journals. You will learn a lot. You will learn so much that at a certain point you will be afraid of writing your own work, because you will never be satisfied. This is not good, it's not good, it's not good. Because you read so many mistakes at a certain point, you do not feel confident enough. I can tell that for myself. I was much more confident at the beginning of my career, so I was not afraid of sending papers everywhere than what I am now. Now I'm conscious that I have limitations, and my work is never good enough to be submitted or published. And this is a problem. Another tip, try to target journals in rapidly growing research fields. So a specific field, not a lot of people doing research, but that journal might grow rapidly because this field is very interesting. So I'll try to target that journal. You will grow with while the journal grows as well. Use blogs to leverage ongoing researcher discussion, and also try to write a review article or a book review, something like that. This will help you to develop the skills necessary to write good papers. And here is the summary of a journal submission process. You have everything that I said. So since submission to the journal, then the peer review, the needs revision, and you have the several possibilities until the end, that is the revise, the accept, or reject. And now I'm available for questions or to share, or for your comments. I also would like to have your comments. So please feel free to say whatever you want. And there's a microphone here, so the others that are online, seeing us and following this session online, and also hear your comments. Comments, questions?
May I? So first of all, thank you. May I use the
okay, microphone can stay there. Okay,
It's called off now. Ah, okay, yes. So first of all, thank you so much for your information and for sharing such important information. We all know that writing papers is a hassle, and targeting good journals even a greater hassle. And I think that you pointed very well that reviewers are mostly more willing to help than to criticize. But of course, it's never nice to read some criticism when we are when it's not very positive. Of course, we all have had that experience, I think. Anyway, so if I understood well, one of the best tips would be to read lots of papers and try to find the right structure for that journal, right?
yes.
Okay. Well, we all, and then doesn't it have also a bad side? Meaning, then isn't the structure of the journal always a bit? You mentioned that before, that sometimes you get papers that have the same structure, the topic just changes. Is that what the journals are looking for? To have a good matrix, a good template, and then that everything fits exactly like that? Is that the purpose?
When that example that I gave, you can tell by the structure of the paper what is the origin, the country origin of the paper, because this also reveals what they are doing in that country and the guidelines that they are following, and it reveals that. So we are not looking for formatted papers, all similar, no. What I was telling is that sometimes if I find a good structure, this can help me to learn, and it saves me some steps instead of learning by doing and being rejected till I find the solution. If I read papers that have a good structure and have a good chance of being accepted, I can learn by them. And so if this structure is accepted in good journals, okay, I will not change the formula. I will try to follow the formula. This is what I try to say. Any other questions, comments?
Just another comment. When you were talking about reading and reviewing the article, the paper, you said that sometimes when you are doing that, since the beginning of the paper until the end, if you go to the end and the conclusion and you ask, so what? If you don't have anything, or if you don't have the adequate response to this question, why? Probably we have to first to read the conclusion and then start reading the paper, because the conclusion is so important for the paper. Do you think it's something that you have to take into account when you are reviewing the paper? Starting with the conclusion, then?
If the abstract is good enough, I will have the answer in the abstract. So the abstract, you saw, it talks a little bit about everything. And if I can see in the abstract, okay, so what is the impact, implications? It is already there, so I do not need to lose my time.
I mean,
the problem is that when I read all the paper and I come to the conclusions, and there are no conclusions, and no implications, there's nothing there. So why the author did this? You waste this time. This is and I'm sure that you have already found papers or even students' work that were like that. Why are you doing this? I don't know, it seems nice, I just wanted to do that. And why did you do an interview or a questionnaire? I don't know, I prefer. This is the kind of answers you got. So if he doesn't know, you cannot answer that for the person who wrote the paper. And you can feel that. So this is not a good, why did you do that? And this is wasting my time. You can feel that he doesn't know. And you cannot answer for that, answer for the person. And this also happens. So you cannot, when you read a paper already published, you are reading something that has quality. But now you can imagine that in an issue, you have 4 or 5 papers published, but you received 30, and 15 were rejected. And among these 15, you may have 10 that were okay, more or less, but you have 5 that have no quality. It's a waste of time. This is, and we need to avoid this.
That is an interesting question, because what is the result of that? Because some people, some researchers, at least they name themselves as it, but they try to publish everywhere, and normally without quality. How they appear to the journals, editors, in such role? Because they are annoying, they are wasting time of people. How does it work?
The problem is that when I read a paper, it has no name, never.
But the editor? Also the editor?
Yes, yes. Because when they submit, they put the name in one place and submit the paper in another place without name. Even as an editor, the first round, I do not know the name of the person. Of course, I can go to the platform and check. I've already read the paper. So it's always anonymous. Blind review, check all the time.
Yeah, except when the authors themselves, as a reviewer that happened to me already, the authors themselves, they are so keen in improving their CVs that they write in their CVs, this manuscript is being reviewed. And then when I was checking about the topic, I found the author without knowing it, because she had written this manuscript is being reviewed by this journal, so it was easy to find.
The problem is that at the end, it was being reviewed and rejected.
And I did reject the paper. Yeah, but it was something very stupid.
So the first thing I do was editor. So I received the email, and I really have to check if the paper has no identification. Not only doesn't have, because the authors know that they have to, it's a field that they need to fill in and submit the paper without that. But if it has somehow the name of the author, I need to remove them and to save another file, and this file is uploaded, and then I do the first round without name. So I'm never able to know this yet. Of course, I could go and check the database, but I never do that. So I don't have so many names in the world that trying to submit the paper. The example I gave you about style, it was about style. So I read the papers and I thought, it is the same paper? No, it is not, but the structure was exactly the same. Only the topics changed. For a moment, I thought it was the same paper, but it was that kind of school. I understand. Yes. 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 Any other questions, comments? No? So I would like to thank you all for your presence. Also to thank people in the internet that followed us online. So thank you very much. Tomorrow, same time at 10 a.m., we will have another seminar, but this one will not be transmitted via internet. But the next one in the internet will be on Friday, and we will have qualitative research methodology. So see you again on Friday. Thank you very much.